Welcome to the live stream. We are just about to kick the recording off, so if you'll hold on just a second, we'll get this show on the road. Hey, Stoners, welcome to this edition of Sticks and Stones. Welcome to all of you cigar and bourbon aficionados out there. Today I have a real treat for you. I am pairing the Macanudo Gold with Jefferson's Ocean Kentucky Straight Bourbon. I think you need to prepare yourselves to indulge in an unmatched sensory experience that we are about to undertake. Thank you for tuning in. I'd like to ask you to please subscribe to the channel, even, excuse me, and even if you don't listen to the entire episodes, just let the recording run, because that helps my algorithms with YouTube, which gets me higher in the list for all those people that haven't discovered me yet. Help them, help me find each other. That would be wonderful. Now, let's go ahead and get this particular pairing underway. Again, this is the, excuse me, Macanudo Gold. It's a 5.5 by 50, which is a Robusto. They call this particular stick the crystal, or maybe the cristal if you're trying to, like hold your little finger up. The filler is Dominican, Piloto Cabano, and Mexican. The binder is first and second primings of San Andreas Mexican leaves, and the wrapper is a very beautiful first and second priming Golden Connecticut shade leaf. It is supposed to bring a silky, smooth, creamy flavor that is complemented by some subtle notes of cedar and hazelnut. We'll see about that as we move on here. It is a mild cigar, so it'll probably be very good for you beginners. So you're not jumping into the deep end of the pool, as I like to say. Now, on the nose, I get some notes of earth and maybe a little bit of moss. There's some spices in there, and it has kind of a rich silkiness on the aroma, kind of like what you would expect from like an olive oil. Visually, it is a very light tan, as those of you on live stream can see. And those of you that are listening to this on recording, and you need to watch for my live streams, because you actually get extra content in there. While I put you on hold, I carouse around with these people that are watching me live, and I am hoping they enjoy it and come back. You need to be here. Anyway, it has tight yet visible seams. It doesn't have a tremendous amount of veining on it, but the veining that it does have is very pronounced for those of you that are on the live stream. Holding it up there so you can kind of see. There's not a lot of veining, but you can definitely see what is there. You hold this out into the light just a little bit. I hope I'm not getting too far away from the mic. Trying to get a little light on it. It's a really, really good wrapper leaf. I do see some slight ripples in it from the roll, but shouldn't affect the burn. But let's go ahead and give it a cut and test out the cold draw. I am, as normal, using my Cassidy V cutter. I have the multi-cutter. That cap out of there. I'm gonna hold this up, folks on the live stream. It has a V-cut and a guillotine cutter, and it's really good. You know, like you carrying it around, going to the cigar shop, not really sure what you're going to buy. You have multiple options as far as the cut go, because I also carry my lighter, which has a punch in the bottom. So I basically have everything covered. I can punch, I can V-cut, I can guillotine, I can handle it all. I really like that. And it comes with a nice velvet case that you can keep it in your pocket. That way you don't cut your fingers or scratch it all up or anything like that. It looks perfect every time it comes out. We'll go ahead and pull this second band off here as we go ahead and get this stick fired up. All right. I am using, oh wait a minute, cold draw. Sorry. I will say it is a very, very easy cold draw. I really wasn't quite expecting that. I was expecting some resistance, a little more than what I'm getting. It's definitely going to make for easy puffing. We'll see if it's too much or not. But on the cold draw, I get like some herbs, maybe a little bit of straw or hay, and some sweetness that is, it's not a tremendous amount of sweetness, but what is there, it's kind of that heavy sweetness like brown sugar, not like regular sugar. All right, let's go ahead and fire it up using the Rocky Patel Envoy 5 torch, which I highly recommend. You can't get the Envoy anymore, but now it's called the Diplomat. Reshaped just a little bit, but still a 5 torch. There's a tremendous amount of smoke coming off of the stick. Now let me adjust my mic just a little. All right. It's kind of hard to get everything right here in front of you, so it's readily accessible when you're trying to do this, because I've got you people here on my left on live stream. I've got my notes right below you, and then I've got my sound dampening material with my microphone in front of it, and then I've got my soundboard down here doing all the recording. It's quite an operation. It all fits into an area about 3 feet wide and 2 feet deep. It lit very well. I know part of that is me, because sometimes I do kind of mess them up, but it took a light very well. It does have a really easy draw, but I don't think it's going to be too easy. So I think it's going to be all right. Now I get like some notes of herbs like sage and rosemary. There's also a little bit of like a butterscotch kind of sweetness on here. But it does have a little bit of zestiness to it, just a little zing. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm tasting the flavors of lemon, but I am getting that kind of zestiness that would come from something like a lemon or an orange. But there's not any particular fruit on it. That is a really good cigar. And it's a perfect beginner cigar. Very mild. The finish is kind of a medium finish with some of these flavors in the background. There's a little bit of spice on it. Not much, just a little right along the edge of your tongue. But it doesn't leave your mouth like coated with heavy smoke, which can kind of turn beginners off. It is really kind of just right, I guess you'd say. Now, let's go ahead and introduce the other star of our show. Put that up in front of my face, because it's much better to look at than I am. We are pairing this Macanudo Gold Label with Jefferson's Ocean Kentucky Straight Bourbon. Now I've never tried it, so this is going to be my first time. It is supposed to be an excellent spirit that has a very, very unique twist, and it kind of lends in the name. You can kind of figure out what's coming. It is aged in barrels at sea, underway. So you have this constant motion of the ocean. I was a poet and didn't know it. That imbues this bourbon with some one-of-a-kind flavors. And did not do this in the beginning. All right, this is Ocean's Voyage 28, and they actually give you, hold that up for the folks on the live stream to see, they actually give you a ship's log. So you open it up, and it says, let's see, 6 a.m. when Ocean Voyage 28 headed out into the restless seas of the Atlantic. We were dockside in Manzanillo for 18 hours and another 24 hours holding position just outside the Panama Canal, through the canal, below the equator. They goes to Auckland, New Zealand, goes to the South China Sea, ports of Shanghai, and then in Japan, Kobe and Yokohama, and then lands in the Pacific Northwest in and around Washington. That is amazing. If nothing else, you should buy a bottle just for this, just to have this kind of story, because these kinds of stories are what fuel the cigar bars and the cigar lounges. Being able to sit down and talk about stuff like this. Hey, I bought this bourbon and it had traveled around the globe pretty much all the way. And, those are the kinds of things that keep people, coming back and journeying farther in cigars and alcohol pairing and keep us going. All right, let's go ahead. Now, it's supposed to have, we'll see, hints of caramel, vanilla. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a touch of salinity, saltiness, because of the heavy ocean that it was exposed to. Sorry, lost my train of thought. And it should really make for a very memorable experience. Now, this is a non-chilled filtered, and it is a natural color. So, here we go. Very nice, very nice. Now, this is, we'll glass some of this up, a bourbon, a blend of straight bourbons from Kentucky, but the distillers are undisclosed. So this is Jefferson's Ocean. They bottle it, but they don't distill it, and we don't know who distills it. So the mash bill, because it's a bourbon, must be at least 51% corn, but it's not stated. And then it is a mixture of rye and malted barley making up the last 49%. And it is aged in new charred oak for 4+ years. It is 45% alcohol by volume, so 90 proof. And visually, it is a very beautiful, beautiful spirit. Those of you on the live stream can see it. It's got excellent viscosity, clings to the glass very well. The color is, it's a little more than a medium golden brown, but not by much. It is kind of solidly set at just a tick above kind of a medium golden brown. It's a really beautiful color. Now, on the nose, that's got a really rich nose to it. I just took a little whiff and I was like, wow, that's very different. I'm not sure that I have smelled a bourbon that has some of these notes on it. I'm gonna use some techniques that I saw a master blender use one time. He did the one nostril he was under the impression, we'll see, that something about your nose, only one side of it really operates for sensing purposes at a time, and your brain switches it back and forth, which is very scary to me. If I have to rely on my brain to switch my nostrils back and forth, something about so they don't wear out or something, I guess. I don't know. Swirl that around just a little more. That's what the swirling really does. I mean, it allows you to see the legs, but it also opens it up and releases the aromas. Now it is a little oaky. There is caramel and baking spices. There is a dried fruit and leathery hint. There's something along the lines of caramelized bananas or caramelized plantains, maybe more of a banana. And it is a touch biscuity. All right. I'm going to go in on the palate. There is, surprisingly, there is a significant amount of spice on. I mean, as soon as the dram touched my tongue, I got a spiciness on the very tip of my tongue, and then right down both sides. It's not overwhelming, but it was immediate. Let me get the rest of this in here. Now, it does have a very robust and kind of oaky, caramel, vanilla, baking spice kind of palette going on. But then there's also that caramelized bananas that was in the nose. You're also getting it on your tongue, which something like 80% of your taste is a combination of your smell and your taste buds. That it requires the nose in order for you to get the full effect. So that's a little tidbit there for you. I'm gonna be doing a recording about whiskey tasting, and it gives you a lot of these little tidbits. That's how I really kind of knew that, is doing my research. There is some salinity into it, especially kind of right at the finish, and I'm positive that comes from the ocean voyages. You do get that saltiness from the salty air. I think if you remember Akashi Ume, I've done that one, reviewed that one a couple of times, paired it, and the Akashi distillery in Japan is right on the ocean, and even though that's a sweeter whiskey because of the plums, there is that saltiness in there because it's right on the coast. The salt is in the air. Well, if you're crossing the ocean, there's a lot of saltiness there. I left that cigar sitting there that long, it did not go out. Now, the finish, it was a medium finish. There's more oak and caramel. There's a little bit of nuttiness. And as with the rest, the nose and the palate, there is a little bit of banana in the finish. I mean, it's really good. I've seen it for a long time. I just, for whatever reason, I didn't buy it. I don't know. I guess the name seems kind of odd to me. But it's pretty good. And a great story. I mean, great story. Let's go ahead and try these together. And I'm getting them tried together before the 20-minute mark. You know, I just complimented this cigar on staying lit, and then it went out on me. I mean, it has been raining here in Texas for several days. Not like heavy rain, but just like every day there's rain. It's rained this morning. And the air is very heavy. It's not really cold, but it's not hot. It's somewhere in the 60s, but like the dew points are in the 60s. I mean, you can actually wear the air. It's that heavy. All right, try these together. I'm not a weatherman. When you combine the smooth, creamy Macanudo Gold Level with the kind of complex and nuanced Jefferson's Ocean, something kind of magical happens. The rich, mellow flavors in the cigar, uh, they perfectly enhance the caramel and the vanilla notes of the bourbon. Uh, each puff and sip kind of you can create this extraordinary harmony on your palate. Those do really go pretty well together. Um, I'm going to continue to watch the salinity. I do notice that the salinity is very much enhanced when I'm smoking and drinking. It's not it's not bad, but I'm not necessarily saying it's good either. Uh, it's different. It may be one of those, like odd things. You're just like, yeah, if you try this, this is what you're going to get out of it. It's very different. And I'm not exactly sure what's going on with the burn here. Maybe you people on the live stream can see it. It's very different. All right. I am going to burn this down to the halfway mark, and I will come back and give you an update. All right, folks, it's just you and me. What do you want to talk about today? I already told you about the weather here in Texas. It is Christmas Eve, so I'm gonna have to finish this off pretty quickly. It's a little after 2 o'clock our time, and I don't know what Sadie's barking at in there, but maybe there's a leaf blowing by out front. She'll bark at anything. Uh, and we're going to Christmas. It's a Christmas service at 4 o'clock. Uh, we're Catholic light Episcopalian, so I don't think they call it Mass, but there's usually a mass of folks there. I was raised Baptist, so I was used to fire-breathing preachers, and these guys don't do that. That is that's a good cigar. Actually, with the salinity that's still kind of hanging around from the Jefferson's Ocean, it almost gave me a little bit of like club soda in on that last puff. It was it was really weird. Uh, Again, I'm not really saying it's good or bad, but it's definitely weird. It's a different kind of pairing, and I am kind of liking it. Oh yeah, definitely liking it. All right, but anyway, it's Christmas Eve. So, for those of you that celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. Those of you that get offended by Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. Uh, Happy holidays, Happy Hanukkah, uh, whatever else is, I don't know, Festivus. I think was today the first day of Festivus. Festivus for the rest of us. Uh, we can have the airing of grievances if you'd like to. Go ahead and air your grievances in the comments. I think it'd be hilarious. Not that I can do anything about them, but I used to have a lot of grievances. Now I don't have so many. I used to be married to somebody different. And there was a lot of grievances there. A lot of grievances. This woman I'm married to now is perfect. She's like, no, I'm not. I said, well, you're perfect for me. So we've been together for over 10 years now. I still think she's the most wonderful woman in the world. There's nobody I could pick that'd be any better, unless she liked the beach just a little bit more. She doesn't not like the beach, but she doesn't like it like I like the beach. I could just like live the rest of my life under an umbrella with rum in one hand and a cigar in the other, and Jimmy Buffett, God rest his soul, playing in the background. So that's me. That is really good. I'm going to have to do more research on this Jefferson's Ocean. I always, because of the way the bottle looked, I always like kind of ascribed it to like a Woodford Reserve. But this is very small batch. It says it on the label. Very small batch. So I guess I only bought a 375 bottle, so maybe that's why it's very small batch. They're using very small kegs or whatever, barrels, casks. What do they call the ones that ports aged in? I don't remember, but it's something kind of weird. I'm gonna have to do a port again. I haven't done one in a while. I like port. I'm really not a wine drinker, but I like port. I like the sweeter wines. So port is right in there. A nice tawny port is wonderful. My favorite wine of all times, I think I've said it on here before, my favorite wine is ice wine. It's predominantly German. I think there are some vineyards in Austria maybe that make it, and then Canada, maybe in the southern hemisphere. It'd have to be like New Zealand. There's not made in very many places in the world because it's so hard to make, and it requires certain conditions. You have to let the grapes freeze on the vine. You have to let the grapes freeze on the vine and then immediately pick them. So like you wake up in the morning and it's been like 25 degrees that night, and you run out there and start picking all your grapes. And then you have to mash them, or whatever they call it, within like 24 hours. And they have to stay frozen. And then when you squeeze the juice out of them, freezing them locks the sugar into the juice. So when you squeeze it or mash it or whatever, it's extremely sweet. And while it is, thin like any other, spirit, it's got a little viscosity to it, but it's not like a thick kind of oily kind of thing. But it is just solid sugar. And you take a drink out of it, you take a glass of it, and it'll just about put you into a sugar coma. I love it. They only sell it in half bottles. And a cheap half bottle is like $20. And some of them are like 75 and 100 for a half bottle. But there's really no place in the United States that it gets where you have great growing conditions, where it also gets that cold that, quickly, I guess. So. I know I'm probably puffing on this cigar way more than I'm drinking this spirit, but I really like this cigar. And don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't like the spirit, but, it is burning a lot wonky. That is a technical term in the cigar industry. Wonky. I'll need to come up with the exact definition of that. It's got, I mean, it produces quite a bit of smoke. Hey, and as much as I said that, I mean, like with 2 puffs, it has started to straighten itself out. I know I mentioned this on a video I did or a recording I did. I don't remember if it was a video or not. Maybe, oh, it may have been a blog post where I was talking about things that can affect the burn, like if you're punching a cigar and you punch it offside, it's not like really in the center, or if you guillotine cut it maybe at an angle, or even the V cut. If you rotate that cutter too much one way or the other, what it does is it affects the draw coming through the leaves in the filler, and that can cause one side to burn faster than the other. So you'll end up with those wonky burns. That's why I'm always talking about good cuts and having good cutters and that kind of thing, because it does affect. And if you really, I mean, if you're just a casual cigar smoker, you probably never notice the difference. But if you're really getting into cigars and alcohol or just cigars, all those, you know, I mean, it's really, a lot for me is like, well, like deer hunting. I was a deer hunter, and I was very unsuccessful at it for a lot of years. And then I really started studying what you have to do. I would take a shower in a hunter's soap that has no scents and gets all the scent off your body and everything. I would wash my clothes in that kind of detergent. I would put the fabric softeners in the dryer that are actually kind of smell like woods. Wouldn't eat any like really strong meats. Would kind of stick with like chicken before I was going to go hunting. No sausage or anything like that, because it excretes on your skin, and it can actually, I mean, deer have better noses than dogs do, and you know how good dogs' noses are. So until I really started studying and doing all those things, then all of a sudden I became successful. I moved to Texas so I could take part in Texas deer hunting, and that's been 11 years ago, and I ain't been in the woods yet. You know, is what it is. I've got a place, I just don't ever get out there. Not that I own it, but I have access. So it's like 120 acres out in central Texas. I've got a stand out there. I put my camera out there to take pictures of all the wildlife a year ago. I'm sure the batteries are dead now. So I've just never gotten back out there. I will though. I'm gonna do some hog hunting come wintertime. Well, wintertime was day before yesterday, but you know, like January, February, once the deer seasons kind of close out. Hog hunting in most of the South, but definitely in Texas, is an all year round activity. They are, you know, all the animal people are like, oh yeah, you're killing animals. They are predatory in the sense that they destroy everything, and they will kill cattle and horses. Like they'll be out in a pasture feeding on whatever it is that they're eating, and the horses and cows get too near them, and the boars have the really long tusks, and they will actually hook the cows and end up, you know, if a rancher doesn't see it quickly enough, it can you know, the wound can get infected and the cow can die. Well, that's a couple of $1,000s he just lost. And if that happens very many times, you know, he's losing a significant amount of money. So you have to temper your love of animals with what's best for the entire ecosystem. You know, the PETA people, the non-meat eater people, they're like, we should stop eating cows. They're destroying the planet. They're destroying the climate. Okay, well, what if we don't eat them? Does all the cows just disappeared? No, we still got them. Well, what do we do with them? Turn them into pets? I mean, you've got ranches that's got thousands and thousands of cattle. You just going to open the gates and turn them loose? Then you have crashes when cows crossing the road and getting hit by cars, killing the people inside. I mean, and they're still going to be eating, they're still going to be farting, they're still going to be releasing their gases into the atmosphere. I'm doing the planet a favor by eating them. So, you know, that is very good. Very good. All right. Well, I think I've probably taken up enough of your guys' time. I'm nearing the halfway mark, so I'm going to go ahead and drop off here. I hope anybody that happened to have watched this, I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to watch for the audio to drop so you can hear all of the last half of the cigar. And be sure to hit, like, subscribe, share, notify, all that kind of stuff. And, when you start playing the audio, just let it run. Even if you're not listening to it, let it run. That's how I get higher up in the rankings with the algorithm. I would greatly appreciate it. And by the way, speaking of appreciating, don't forget my buddies over at Freedom Fatigues. I'm wearing my Second Amendment flag shirt today. Freedom Fatigues. They are great folks, veteran owned and operated. I'm a veteran. I support them. You got to support the veterans. They do so much for us. They've got great stuff. And these shirts, I've got, I don't know, several of them, 4 or 5. I know 3, but, and then I've got a couple of hats. But the shirts are just buttery soft cotton. It is wonderful. And, like this one, it's got the more colonial looking flag with the 2A inside the stars for the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is the one that defends all the other amendments. You got to have that. People say we got to get rid of, firearms. We're the only country in the world that operates the way we do. And there's a reason for it. Because people took their guns and stood up to tyranny. So, not trying to get political, just saying. Love this shirt. Wonderful people over at Freedom Fatigues. You can find a link to them on the Sticks-n-Stonez.com website. And you can also find where I've done reviews, unboxings on their stuff, and I always have links to get to them. You can find a link to the Spirit and the cigar in the description of the audio. So definitely click on it, order some cigars, order Spirit from Total Wine if you're in an area where you can do that. They deliver to more than half the states. And then there's Total Wines across the country. So if they're near you, you can go in and or you can order and have it delivered to your house, because they're local. The Uber Eats, I think, will do it. One of those places will do it. So anyway, you all have a wonderful holiday and a Merry Christmas, and I will see you later.